listen.
Hey guys, and welcome to WrestleRant edition number 10. I am your host, Bleacher Report featured columnist, GSM, here today to review last night's epic and unprecedented SuperSmackDown that aired live on the Sci-Fi Network last night on Tuesday night. So we kicked off the show with John Cena coming out to call out Alberto Del Rio, who is still in Mexico, for those of you wondering why he wasn't on Raw and SmackDown this past week, to cover some visa issues that he's been having problems with over the last couple days. He will be back next week, but unfortunately he wasn't here for this week's past tapings. But instead, Ricardo Rodriguez comes out after John Cena's lame PG jokes. Now this is the worst that we've seen from John Cena in the past 2 months. He's been all serious with CM Punk, and he finally comes back with his PG crap that he's been doing for years now. Something that is not a very good way to kick off the show with. A lot of people may have turned off their TVs after that. I mean, I know I want to, but I'd like to tune in for the World Heavyweight Championship match that was main eventing the show. And then after that, we had Wade Barrett come out and cut a promo saying how he's dismantled John Cena before. Cena used to work for him in the Nexus. So I'm glad they used to establish the history between Barrett and Cena going into their upcoming match in a few minutes after that. So then we had the match between Wade Barrett and John Cena. A very, very disappointing match. It was only 3 minutes. These two had a 20-minute classic back at Hell in a Cell last year where Wade Barrett pulled out the upset victory over the Chain Gang Commander. Now they only have 3 minutes. This absolutely destroys any momentum that Wade Barrett had going into this match. His win over Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, this rebellious side that Barrett's had in recent weeks against lesser opponents, absolutely dismantled tonight. John Cena destroyed him in absolutely 3 minutes. Barrett, I think, only gotten one offensive move in the entire 3 minutes of this match. Absolutely did nothing for Barrett and or Cena. So I do not know why this match is advertised in the first place. So anyway, after that we had our second match between Sin Cara and Daniel Bryan. Some two that have awesome history together back in their first match back a couple months ago, back in May, where they had a 5-star classic match that everyone was anticipating a hot rematch between these two. This was a pretty good match, but wasn't as good as their first match. Merely because Hunico was portraying Sin Cara this time around again in the last few weeks. He's been doing such, and that's become more evident since following that match, after Sin Cara picked up the victory, Hunico turned on Daniel Bryan and turned heel. Now, I'm not really sure I'd like to see Sin Cara heel. I mean, that's a good thing. I'd like to see a heel Sin Cara versus Rey Mysterio next year at WrestleMania 28. But I'm not really sure what the point of this is. I know that they kept the Sin Cara character around to establish him as a major babyface on SmackDown, given his moveset and such, that he's very hot with the babyface fans and kids and such, and he has hot merchandise. So if they turn him heel, that's all going down the tubes. So hopefully next week they reveal Hunico, they reveal Sin Cara as Hunico, Mystico comes back as the real Sin Cara, they feud, couple botches in the match, they feud going into whatever pay-per-view, and we get that established. Hopefully Sin Cara doesn't stay heel, because that's a very bad idea as far as merchandise goes. As far as Daniel Bryan, I am very disappointed to see him lose again. He hasn't won a match in nearly 6 weeks. Hopefully we see him get back on the winning streak. Hopefully next week on Friday Night SmackDown. He's Mr. Money in the Bank. He needs to establish himself as a threat going into WrestleMania 28. Hopefully he can resume that feud that he had with Wade Barrett going a couple weeks ago going into SummerSlam. They had an awesome match at SummerSlam. I want to see a rematch over the briefcase at Night of Champions. And after that we had a throwaway match, tag team match between the Divas of Doom, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, defeating the newly faced Alicia Fox and Kelly Kelly. I mean, I didn't see much of this match. I was eating dinner at the time, but from what I did see, it was an absolute throwaway. It only established the Divas of Doom as a legitimate threat in the ring, which is good because we haven't seen much of them in the ring since they turned heel a couple weeks ago. And on a side note, I do not really like the fact that Alicia Fox is now turned face. I do not think that's a very good move in my book, as Alicia Fox, I mean, she was a decent heel, but I guess it's okay to turn her face given that the recent heel turns and recent weeks with Natalya and Beth Phoenix and such. So I guess I do indeed need to turn her back face, unfortunately. But she's not going to find the success as a babyface on SmackDown, in my personal opinion. Then after that, we had the highlight of the night with CM Punk and Triple H in a contract signing. This is about, I think, the 4th or 5th time that we've seen this in the past few months in the WWE, most specifically with CM Punk. I am sick of the contract signings. They got to create it. They got to be a little more creative about this in feuds like such as these. But they find more and more ways to get these contract signings more and more interesting. CM Punk and Triple H had a very strong segment here, showed raw emotion and power, and kind of got me intrigued and anticipating their upcoming match at Night of Champions, even though I heard it was supposed to be a match that we were going to see at Survivor Series in a couple months, but because of Nash's medical issue, we're going to see Triple H take on Punk instead, and then see Nash take on Punk at a later date. But a very strong segment, very, very strong. Then we had Nash come in and attack Punk and Triple H. I'm glad they attacked Triple H, that we can get over the fact that Nash and Triple H aren't working together as a part of the new NWO or the Clique or whatever. So I'm glad they really established that tension between Nash and Triple H tonight. I was very glad to see Nash come out and look like a monster and destroying Punk and H, because I'm glad they didn't forget about him in this whole feud and they don't slowly take him off television, seeing that he has an injury and won't be competing for a few weeks. So hopefully we see Nash take a bigger part of the storyline, as he has in the past few weeks. Then after that, we had Sheamus and the Great Khali in a few-minute match. It was a bit short, but we had Sheamus prevail with the disqualification victory. It kind of protects the Great Khali. He shouldn't be being pinned every week like he was being pinned by. He was being pinned and submitted by Ezekiel Jackson last week and Randy Orton the week before. That's not something you want to do for a 7-foot giant. On a side note, I would like to point out that I was correct again in predicting that the Great Khali was bringing back his old theme song. First NWO music, first the Great Khali music. I am on a freaking roll as far as these theme music coming back. I hope the basic thugonomics comes back at this point. You never know. I hope to hear more from old Great Khali theme in coming weeks. I liked it better than the face music, seeing that he's a monster heel. So, anyway, Sheamus, sure, Khali and Mahal come off, they come off as weaklings in this after the attack, after Sheamus single-handedly takes on 2 men, one being a 7-foot giant. But the major important thing is that Sheamus came off as a major, major monster here. Sheamus needs that momentum that he's lost in recent weeks to Mark Henry, and that just worked here. It perfectly worked. And I'd love a mini feud with him and Khali until Mark Henry gets his World Championship shot, and they can resume that feud after Night of Champions going to Hell in a Cell. So then after that, we had the World Heavyweight Championship match, the final confrontation between Randy Orton and Christian. Another awesome match, pretty exciting for the most part, but not too exciting, knowing that we all knew that Randy Orton was going to prevail victorious. But pretty good match overall. But there were some points in that match where I did think Christian was going to win, when he was almost over the cage and he just unknowingly walked back over the cage, back on the inside to Randy Orton, just to feed to Randy Orton, just to give him the win there. But an awesome way to end it with that sick RKO off the top rope. And then the logical beatdown from Mark Henry that followed. And seeing that Mark Henry is going to be challenging Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions, it's very good that he got the beatdown, and now further establishing himself as the hottest heel in WWE today. Mark Henry is absolutely surprising me throughout the year of 2011. Mark Henry I really hope that he does become World Heavyweight Champion. And this raises doubts that Orton will not walk out as World Heavyweight Champion at Night of Champions. Mark Henry deserves at least one championship run before he retires in a couple months, couple years, whatever. He said like 18 months back at WrestleMania season, so you never know when he will be retiring. But I really do hope that he does challenge Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he successfully takes it away from Orton. You can see him feud Sheamus and such go on in the coming months. So overall, a decent episode of SmackDown. It didn't really live up to the hype as being as good and exciting and all that I originally expected from the Super SmackDown Live on Tuesday. I was thankful it was live, and there weren't a lot of tape spots like the Sin Cara and stuff like that. Overall, pretty good match. Pretty good show overall. Now, hopefully we see SmackDown move to Tuesdays permanently, and that'd be a nice change of pace. Seeing that we can get unfortunately get like 9 hours of wrestling for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But, it helps avoid spoilers, and you never know. When the rating comes in a couple hours, we could see SmackDown get a boost in the ratings, and it may increase it, especially with the star power they got from Monday Night Raw tonight, or last night. So overall, pretty good episode. Hopefully we see more from them, and building storyline-wise as we go into Night of Champions in a couple weeks. And on a side note, last night in other news, we had Matt Hardy post a suicide video on his YouTube channel and really awkward comments on Twitter. For anyone that does follow me on Twitter, I posted a bunch of, in my personal opinion, hilarious Twitter comments on Matt Hardy and how much I fully disrespect him now, seeing that he used to be one of my favorite wrestlers, and now he's a huge dope and seeking attention, an attention whore as I'd call him, for doing such a cry for help. That is really, really sad and depressing. Hopefully Matt Hardy gets the help that he needs. Jeff Hardy can forget about all this and move on in his push in TNA when he comes back next week, or this coming Thursday on Impact. And, hopefully we can just put this whole Matt Hardy dilemma all behind us, and he can move on with this reborn crap, or whatever this shit is that he's talking about on his Twitter page. Whatever, hopefully we can just forget it, and everyone else, can just forgive him for his actions, but I doubt that's going to be happening anytime soon. So, thank you for joining me today on WrestleRant edition number 10, our monumental 10th episode. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, whatever. I'd really appreciate it. I love all your comments that you guys have been giving me on Twitter. And to speak of Twitter, follow me on Twitter at save_us_GSM. And to visit my Bleacher Report profile below for the latest articles, news, recaps, and rumors. Also visit my website at nextairwrestling.weebly.com. Thank you for joining me today and reviewing last night's SuperSmackDown. I may be back in a few days to review Impact Wrestling. Thank you for joining me here today. This is GSM, signing out.